not. That's what you have on your side. So be confident. Even if you don't know every detail yet, that's okay. Be confident you have that on your side. So here's what you bring up. If I give you $250,000 each, so number one, 100 grand, how long will it last, Mr. and Mrs. Client? You make 50 grand a year? How long would 100 grand last? 1, 2 years? If you're frugal, maybe 3. Right? What happens after that? Your son, your daughter is 4, 5, 6 years old. That's a big chunk of change gone. The rule of thumb is you should have 8 to 10 times what you make a year. You should replace 70 to 75% of your income because 25% of it goes with you. That's the rule of thumb. Right? So with that being said, if I can give you 2.5 times the coverage for $80 a month, less than half the cost. Number one, would that be a better situation? Oh yeah, I like that. It's a lot more money. But you know, I got guarantees here. I got my investment. I have money there. Excellent. So if I was able to take the difference of 145, you're still making the same payment, but we're going to take the difference of 145 and open up a Roth IRA where you're averaging 9% per year. That money grows to $265,000. $265,000. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, if you have $265,000 right now liquid, by definition, what we covered before, would you need life insurance? Or would you need income protection? And if they got it, they'll say, actually, no. They'll tell you, actually, I don't need it. Exactly, because you are now self-insured. You won't need it. That is the premise of buy term and invest the difference. Get you to a point where the amount of money you have put away replaces the need for life insurance. Hey, ideally, if you buy life insurance from me today and next week you hit the lottery, I'll be the first one to tell you stop paying for life insurance. Take a couple minutes of that money and put it to the side. Your family will be taken care of for the rest of their life and generations if they actually sit down with me and allow me to make sure that we can preserve that capital forever. When you say that, when you use that analogy, people start to get it. Because now they're no longer thinking about, I'm replacing life, you're replacing money. I'm just going to take the same money you're spending, reallocate it so that it works better for you. Now, we have great tools within our training, within our presentation slides that breaks down and kills whole life, kills universal life, kills variable universal life. So you can go further into detail. I wanted to show you guys specifically why buy term and invest the difference in comparison to cash value. It's just so much more powerful when you actually break down the numbers. Any questions about this? Couple key points on this. Number one, same money being spent. You're not asking for more money. That's a big deal. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, I'm not asking you to spend more. I'm asking you simply to reallocate how you're spending it. What if I told you that this $76,000 and the $100,000 death benefit you don't keep. You don't keep both. You pay for both of them, but you keep one. In our case, you get both. Your husband, your wife, your spouse, your loved ones get both the 250 and the two and whatever the investment is at the time. I'm going to show you an example that Tanya and I went through over the last 10 years or so. Yeah, 10 years. An exact comparison in a minute, okay? So no questions about this, right? That's by term and invested difference. Right, so the goal again is when you reach 65 or retirement age, you are self-insured because you invested. And now at that point, you continue investing. You invest the whole thing. Why wait? If we accomplish that goal sooner rather than later, right? Including your 401k plans and maybe other assets you have, then we stop that insurance policy much sooner. I sat down with a client in December. She has been a client for about 11 years, right? Saving money. She's done a really good job with saving money. She has no kids. She works 60, 70 hours a week. So she saves a large portion of her income. In her 401k at work, she has $350,000 saved. And her other investments, right, with us, $150,000 saved. Her coverage was $500,000. Guess what I told her in December? Stop paying for life insurance. She was actually completely surprised I told her that. Well, because you have $500,000 liquid now. Something happened to you, that goes to your family. So if you keep your life insurance with us, technically is what? It's a luxury. It's extra. Nothing wrong with that. You know what she said to me, Sheila? Well, aren't you the insurance guy? You actually want me to stop paying for a policy? And I said to her, well, I'm the advisor, not the insurance guy. My job is to make sure that you are doing the right things across the board. You know what? She gave me right away 3 more referrals. It's the right thing for families, guys. So, and I was alluding to this earlier. I want to make sure that you can understand how that applies when you look at this. Because technically, guys, if you had 5 minutes, and only 5 minutes to sit with a potential client and or recruit, really, this is what I would present. Right? Especially from a client perspective, right? Maybe not a recruit, right? Maybe not from that sense, but from a client perspective, this here explains everything. Life happens here, just like this to every one of us. Every one of us. And I learned it, by the way, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how I learned how to say it, how to break this down. Now you can cheat, right? Because you can just have the whole thing script right next to you. They can't see it anyway, right? But here's what I say. Listen, in the early parts of your life, you work hard and you have what? You have young children, you have debt, mortgage, bills, expenses, right? So it's hard to save as much money as possible, right? You want to put more in your 401k plans, IRAs, Roth IRAs, things of that nature, right? But we have a lot of bills. So the need to protect our income is at its highest point early on. That's where life insurance come into play. But at some point, eventually kids grow up, right? They start being less dependent financially speaking, little to no debt, mortgage paid for if you made a lot of good choices, which we're going to help you with, by the way. I started to add that on a side note because a lot of times people, you know, they look at this as the ideal situation. Man, I still got a whole bunch of debt. I'm never going to be off, right? So I just started to add that from experience to let them know we can help you with all of that. So when you are in retirement, What is it that you need? Right? And you hope they say money. Exactly. You need money. A life insurance plan doesn't pay bills. You need liquid assets. I don't care how old you are. My mom used to tell me 50 years ago, 60 years ago now, companies used to take care of, man. You gave them your whole life, right? You worked for them 30, 40 years of your life, and they took care of you. That no longer is the case. That has changed. You need to build your own assets. See, at that time, Sheila, life insurance becomes a luxury. You don't need it. So when I sit with a family, my goal, as I sit with you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is over time, I want to help you pay off all of your debt, including your mortgage. But at the same time, I want to protect your family. I want to give you the highest coverage possible for the least cost possible. Are you aware that the cheapest way to buy life insurance is term? Are you aware of that? Now, I asked that question very methodically. Why do I ask that question? Why do you guys think I asked that question? That's important. I ask it because I want to know their level of understanding. Number one, either prior to me or as we're discussing it. If they understand the cheapest way to buy life insurance, because now there's no equation to whole life. If they understand that it is term, right, that's now putting a notch under my belt and the potential success of getting a check. And then I draw that line. I literally draw that line because I believe you need to create a visual. You want it to stop. It is supposed to stop. It is supposed to terminate. So that's the cheapest way of buying life insurance. Now, we need to focus on saving as much as we possibly can. And I understand, Ian, it feels like you're so overwhelmed. There's no money to save. Do you work hard? Let's role play real quick, Ian. Do you work hard? When people fight me on saving money, here's what I do. Ian, role play with me. Ian, can you hear me? Maybe he's stuck. Role play with me.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
All right, cool. So I'm talking to you about saving money, and let's say that you're not big on, not that you're not big on saving, but you don't feel you can, all right? So do you work hard, Ian?
Yes.
You think you really do?
I think I work hard for more money. Yes.
Honestly, I don't think you really do.
Okay.
And I say that on purpose. I want that face. I want that. I'll pause. I'll let them marinate a little bit on it and say, listen, too bad you can't hit me because we're on Zoom. I'll make a joke out of it. But here's why I say that. At the end of the month, what is the first thing you pay? What most people say. What do you think most people say?
At the end of the month?
Yeah. What is the first thing you pay? Oh, the first of the month, whatever. When you make payments. What is the first thing people pay?
My rent.
Right? You pay your rent, your mortgage, right? Maybe credit cards, food, bills, insurance, right? All that stuff, right? What is the last thing you pay if you even pay it?
A bill? I don't know. Whichever bill is last. I don't know.
Yourself.
See how I set you up for that.
Right? Now, think about that for a second. What you just told me, Ian, as hard as you work when it's hot, you work when it's cold, you work in this time when you don't even know what to wear outside because it's hot and cold. You work when you're sick. You work in spite of the pandemic. You do all of this because you want to put food on the table. And the money you earn over 40 years, we talked about $2 million, the first thing you do with it is pay everybody else off. You cover companies, you cover insurance, you cover everybody. Their kids have a good lifestyle because you're paying their bill. And you wouldn't pay yourself first. Does that seem prudent to you in any way, shape, or form?
No, not when you say it like that.
Not really, right? So to me, and what I say to families I help, the most important first. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
And by the way, I don't care if you start with 25, 50, 100 bucks a month. I don't care. But you got to start somewhere so that eventually we get to a position where the amount of money, as we discussed, that we started to help you put away equals what you needed in life insurance. At that point, my friend, we have accomplished a major goal financially speaking together. We are self-insured. You no longer need life insurance or pay that bill. It's like you don't have a car, you don't need to pay car insurance. It's the same thing. Here, you don't have, you have money. You no longer need life insurance or income protection. So we stop paying it. We continue putting money away so that we can live a great retirement. And that is my ultimate goal for you and your family. Does that make sense, guys? This really kind of puts everything together. Right? And get them involved, get them thinking about it, get them, to a point where they are looking at it. Right? And sometimes you almost gotta, what's the word? You gotta create a little bit of that emotional, what's the right word? That emotional, what am I trying to say? Disturbance, right? You want to disturb them, right? Like I said to him, I don't think you really work that hard, right? I want him to say, this little, what is he talking about? You don't know me. And then bring them back to why you say that so that they don't forget it. Does that make sense, everybody? Right? So, quick case study, and then we could be done. I know a lot of people are finishing today early, right? So, this is an actual client that Tanya and I sat down with. Actually, I was going to show you guys the actual policy he had, but this is kind of the information, right? So 41 years old, standard health. He was $183 a month for his policy, $75,000 death benefit, right? In his policy. We sat down he bought the policy in 2010 with New York Life, and Tanya sat down with him in 2011. Okay. So his payout, as you guys know, his cash value after 10 years showed $14,628 a month. Now, if you calculated back then how much having $75,000 a year, $75,000 death benefit, how much it would actually cost him at the age of 41, the cost of that is $33 a month. So I showed him, if we take, so that means you're overpaying by $150 a month. You're overpaying your policy. That's $1,800 a year. On his, table of guaranteed values, the cash value column specifically discussed, right? It talked about if you are paying $130, $150 extra a month, in the first year, he had $0. We know that, right? But if we rent it out to 10 years, $14,620 guaranteed. But if you calculate it out, he paid into it how much? $18,000. How is that a good investment so far? Then he pushed it out to 20 years at $36,700. That's $36,000 out of his pocket. He made $706. If you put this into a financial calculator, that's an average return of 1.3%, which is what the average is for whole life policies across the board. Right? Then the death benefit is 75. So here's what we did for him. We said, first and foremost, you're making $3,500 a year, a month rather. You need approximately $300,000 of coverage. If we took $350,000 death benefit, the cost of that is $49 a month. Then we took the difference of $100, right? That's a $150 plan. In 10 years, right now, this is actually his investment. His actual investment has $21,958. A lot better than what he would have had guaranteed. 20, if you push it out all the way to 20 years, he would have $158,000 invested. And what's best, his payout, if he died at any point, would be $350,000 death benefit to his daughter, who's 100% beneficiary, and whatever the investment is at the time. In your current policy, $75,000, that's it. Now, back then, we told them, right, we gave them these numbers, not exactly because we didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but we gave a hypothetical and everything. We gave these numbers, and he liked it. Now, he actually sees it in real life, because that's actually what's happened so far in the last 10 years. It's awesome, guys, to kind of see things that we discussed coming into fruition. I can't wait for another 10 years before my first few clients, actually, because they invested properly, are financially independent. I can't wait for that to happen so I can show that. Right? I have to be in the business a little bit longer for that to come into fruition. But make no mistake, guys, you know, we do what's right, man, 100% of the time. 100% of the time. Make no mistake about that. All right? Excellent. Do we have any questions?
Dave,
Yes.
I just have a quick question.
Okay.
So you know how we have that presentation, and I did realize that you did say that if it's just a client like life insurance, you basically just present a couple of slides. You don't do the whole thing. Is that my understanding?
You're asking me if that's what I do?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, no. No, this is specific if I, you know, as far as training on buy term and invest the difference.
Correct.
But I have had situations, Sheila, where the client specifically stated, listen, I want life insurance. Awesome, right? What I might do is I start kind of asking right off the bat, how much coverage do you have? Have you had life insurance in the past? So I'll ask those kind of questions, right?
Okay.
I want to know, I want to find out what their understanding of life insurance is to the depth that it is, right? And maybe I'll close it out first, right? Because it makes sense, maybe on their schedule, because of their schedule, so on and so forth. But in either case, I want to present, generally speaking, everything else as well. Why? For referrals purposes.
Yeah.
Right? Letting them know that we don't just do that. Right?
Okay.
And the potential recruit.
Okay.
Right? People don't want to sell life insurance. If all you do is show them that you sell life insurance, that's how they see you. Right? And it's just not a sexy thing to do. Right? I met with a young lady yesterday that it was a granddaughter of one of my agents. And she, you know, years ago, apparently, she sold life insurance and she just didn't like the process. So I went over with her how I felt the same way when I first thought it, when I looked at it. As a matter of fact, I was 29. I didn't care about no life insurance. It's important to me now. I have a family and kids and all that. But back then, what I saw wasn't life insurance sales as much as changing and impacting families. And I love the investment. I love that. And more importantly, I saw what? The ability to one day earn passive income. I already had the job, right, that most people want. I was making 80 grand a year, right? You have a great job as far as jobs are concerned, right? But there's no freedom there. I just recruited last week a gentleman who makes well over 200,000 a year, but he works 70 hours a week in car sales.
Oh.
And he's realizing, man, first of all, a lot of people need life insurance. I keep giving you referrals, man, I would get paid on it. And he's also realizing that he's going to get, you know, it beats you down after a while. Right? The salesperson wakes up broke every day. He's starting to understand that. What I told him 6 years ago since he's become a client. So he tell, can you teach me how to replace this income? And then it would make sense. So we're working on how to do that, opening up his schedule because he does work a lot. Right? So we're leveraging his wife now as well, right? And how we can, you know, figure it out. So yeah, look, always look, this sales is sales, and you got to know life insurance. You got to understand how to break it down, but make no mistake about it. This is a building company. This is about building passive income, residual income. Right? If it makes sense to start with life insurance and close it out, get a check, yes, absolutely do that. But always jump back on the board of investment, retirement planning, debt, all that kind of stuff. Right? And then, of course, recruiting. Does that answer your question, Sheila?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?